Wubba lubba dub dub, motherfuckers. It is I, your boy, everyone's favorite jack of all trades with a foul mouth, Common Irvin. And the hat is back, baby. Yes, I got a new hat. This one fits. So, I feel whole again. The Commodore is now looking the way he should be. Respecting command. Fuck. Well, hello guys. I hope you guys are enjoying. Hope you guys enjoy the video, you know. And I see that we are over 700 subscribers now. Hell yeah, baby. Come on, let's keep going. Let's go over to a fucking 1,000 or better. Let's see how big we can get the fucking crew. Anyway, to all the OGs out there, and also the new subscribers, thanks for sticking around and watching this shit. I do this because of you guys. It's the reason why I do this fucking shit. Anyway, now, we're going to do a special review, book review, and I'll explain a little bit of the backstory. I got to meet an author that I wanted to meet for a long time, because years and years ago, I remember reading his book, Unsinkable, Daniel Allen Butler. I remember seeing him on a documentary. It was an old A&E documentary. It was like Titanic. I forget what it was. It was an old A&E documentary about the Titanic, and it was narrated by David McCollum, which is, you know, Ducky from NCIS. Anyway, and I was so excited when I got to meet him through Messenger on Facebook. I was just ecstatic, and I told him I was a big fan of his books, and I even did a review of his book, Age of Cunard, and I shared it with him because I remembered saying I really loved the book, but then when the message he sent me back was kind of cold, and I didn't know why, but then it hit me because I was talking about what he was saying about the SS United States, and at the time I didn't really agree with it, and I just felt so terrible about it, and I didn't mean to hurt nobody's feelings or anything. I was just being a critic. So I wanted to do this because to show him that I'm a big fan, and also no hard feelings about anything. I didn't mean anything bad. And so I wanted to review the book that I remember reading years ago, and that was Unsinkable, the full story of RMS Titanic. And I have here the original first edition from Stackpole Books. And I also have the 2012 Centennial edition from Da Capo Press. Now, I read them both. I read this one, and then I read this one right afterwards. So, you know, in the back here it says, yeah, it originally was an old library book, so I paid like 75 cents for it, so. A few minutes before midnight on April 14, 1912, the ocean liner Titanic struck an iceberg. Less than 3 hours later, she lay at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean, having taken with her more than 1,500 of the roughly 2,200 people on board. Well, now they say it's 1,496. But anyway, even now, a century later, no other ship in history has attracted so much attention, stirred up such powerful emotion, or accumulated as many legends. Unsinkable provides a fresh look at the Titanic's incredible story, following the great ship from her conception in the Belfast shipyard to her fateful collision to the ambitious attempts to salvage her. Right up to the present day, Daniel Allen Butler brings over 30 years of research. That's about as long as I've been alive. I'm 30 years old now, so hell, fuck, wow, that's amazing. Drawing heavily on primary sources and period accounts, and updated to include new findings gathered since the book's initial publication, which was in 1998. I got it right here. So, fuck yeah. To shed new light on the tragedy and to explore its aftermath in remarkable detail and depth and detail. The result is a captivating must-read for anyone interested in the Titanic, including me, baby! The most complete account yet of the ship that has captured imaginations like no other. And you know what? It does. I mean, hell yeah. They really fucking nailed that on the head. Because, like it says right here, a masterful treatment of the Titanic disaster. And that was Walter Lord, the late Walter Lord, said that about this book. And if Walter Lord says it has a masterful treatment of the Titanic, then you better fucking believe it. It is. Once I started reading this one, and I read it, I was blown away, but then when I read this one, I was even more blown away because the fact he updated it, he added new stuff to it. And he even says right here at the beginning, he even says right here that he has the new edition of Unsinkable has been produced by DeCapo Press with a determination to correct those mistakes and also bring the text into agreement with new information and research about the Titanic discovered and released since 1998. The original edition of Unsinkable has distinction of being continuously in print for over 13 years, putting it in some rarefied company in the Titanic library. Well, here's the thing, if it's in my fucking collection, you know it's good. If I own, especially if I own both copies. But yeah, what Mr. Butler has done, he has literally, like, you know, like all the myths and legends stuff about the Titanic, he's completely shredded the sons of bitches apart and thrown that shit in the trash. He's got the key. He has the fucking key, and he's opened the door to the past. He's like, go inside. And then he takes you on this journey to the past to relive those days of when the Titanic was alive. Honestly, it's just absolutely fucking beautiful. I mean, it's a beautifully written book, well researched, and I was just, you know, dumbfounded. Like, oh my god. I mean, I've not been dumbfounded by reading a book in a long time. I mean, there's not that many writers out there, that many authors that have such, you know, pull power with their words on such an amazing subject like the Titanic. I would put Mr. Butler in a category with the great Walter Lord and John Maxwell Graham. He's up there with those guys. And I will give you a little sampling, a little taste of what he has written here. And right here on the chapter, She's Gone. Deck by deck and hull plate by hull plate, the Titanic began breaking apart between her third and fourth funnels. Well, that's slightly kind of wrong because James Cameron figured out it was in front of the third funnel. If you watch the documentary Titanic, the final word with James Cameron, but never mind. The lights, which had been glowing a dark red, suddenly went out completely, snapped on again with a shearing flash, then went dark forever. All that could be seen was a huge black shape silhouetted against the impossibly bright stars, suspended as ever were between the sea and the sky. It was at this moment that the reckoning came, the accumulation of all these terrible ifs. If the Titanic's maiden voyage hadn't been postponed by 3 weeks, if her departure from Southampton hadn't been delayed by an hour she'd never made up, if any of the 6 ice warnings hadn't been heeded, or if Phillips hadn't cut off the California in the middle of the 7th, if she'd been moving a knot faster or a knot slower, if there had been moonlight or a choppy sea to illuminate the berg, if the iceberg hadn't been blue, if Fleet and Lee had seen the ice 10 seconds sooner or 10 seconds later, then there would have never been that dreadful convergence of the twain, as Thomas Hardy called it, of ice and steel. You know, it's just an amazing book. I mean, you know, I was speechless, you know, and it's really hard for me to be speechless because I'm a critic, you know, I'm very critical. But what Daniel Allen Butler has been able to do, he's been able to take all of this information, literally like a storm of information about the Titanic, and he's been able to kind of weave it and put it together to tell a story, to retell the legend and the legacy of this beautiful lady here behind me, the Titanic. And he's literally opened up the doors of time. He's opened the fucking doors of time. He says, come on in and take a ride with me. He takes you on that ride. He takes you on that trip. And by the time when you get done reading the final pages in this book and you sit there and you think and you're like, wow, it is absolutely just terrifying. You know, it was a terrifying night for a lot of people. It was something no one would ever forget. And it was so beautifully written and artistically done. And Mr. Butler, you know, congratulations, man. I mean, I loved it. I love this book. It is an absolute treat to read. So if you guys can, either buy the book, like I have both copies, or get it from the fucking library. I don't care how the hell you get it. Read this book, Unsinkable, The Full Story of the RMS Titanic by Daniel Allen Butler. Absolutely amazing book. I loved it. 2 thumbs up. 5 stars. No, wait. Fucking 10 stars. Bravo, bud. Bravo, sir. I fucking loved it. And if you ever see this, Mr. Butler, I'm sorry about the other review. I didn't mean anything by it now. You are one of my favorite authors. You're one of my favorites. And I love reading your books. I love your writing and stuff. And, with this book, you prove that, the Titanic is not a dead subject. It's a subject of human tragedy, arrogance, error, and just the story of the human spirit. And you keep it alive with your words. And so, thank you, Mr. Butler. And thank you for keeping the Titanic alive. And so that is my review of Unsinkable, the Full Story of the RMS Titanic by Daniel Allen Butler. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comment section below and get back with me. If you're new to the channel and you love the shit I'm doing, hit that fucking subscribe button, hit that damn notification bell, become a member of the Commodore's crew, and never miss another video from me again. Until next time, this is Commodore Urban saying, have smooth seas and clear skies, happy sun with all of you, God bless all of you, and take care and just be yourselves. And once again, if you do see this, Mr. Butler, thank you so much. Thank you for writing this book. Cheers.